Choosing yourself is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of survival. When you choose yourself, you're not turning your back on others. You're turning your face toward the one person responsible for your life, you. This world doesn't reward those who wait to be picked. It rewards those who pick themselves. You want success. You want respect. You want peace. Then stop begging for it from people who can't give it. Stop relying on relationships to validate your worth. Choose yourself first, because no one else is obligated to. Most people spend their lives waiting for someone to love them, waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for someone to see their potential. That wait becomes a trap, and in that trap, they lose time, confidence, and strength. But when you choose yourself, you break the cycle. You stop waiting for approval. You give yourself permission to be great without an audience. Choosing yourself means drawing the line. It means walking away from what drains you, even if it once made you feel alive. It means understanding that your energy is a resource, not to be wasted on people who don't value it. It's standing in front of the mirror and saying, I'm not here to please everyone. I'm here to build something real, with or without applause. That's not selfish, that's survival. Because the truth is, nobody will fight for your dreams harder than you will. No one is going to drag you out of your darkness. They might care, they might try, but they can't do the work for you. Only you can. Only you can decide to stop tolerating the bare minimum. Only you can decide to take responsibility for your pain, your healing, your growth. And when you do that, when you take that radical ownership, you stop depending on people who were never designed to carry you. People call it selfish because they don't understand it. They want you available. They want you comfortable. They want you the way they've always known you. Small, quiet, agreeable. But when you choose yourself, you disrupt that pattern. You say no when you used to say yes. You prioritize your goals over their opinions. And they don't like that, but your life isn't their comfort zone. Survival is about making hard choices. It's about waking up and doing what needs to be done even when no one claps. It's about cutting off distractions and building your foundation brick by brick. It's about owning your failures and still getting up to try again. That's choosing yourself. That's surviving. And when you survive long enough on your terms, you don't just survive, you thrive. And that kind of power, that kind of clarity, it's worth every sacrifice. Loneliness is often painted as the enemy. People run from it, numb it, and fear it like it's a death sentence. But loneliness isn't the real threat. Dependency is. The moment you believe you need someone else to feel whole, you've already surrendered your strength. It's not the silence of an empty room that breaks you. It's the craving for validation you can't find in yourself. Loneliness can be your greatest teacher if you're willing to face it. Dependency, on the other hand, keeps you weak, stuck, and looking outward when the answers have always been inside. In the stillness of being alone, you meet yourself. You meet your thoughts, your insecurities, your truths. And yes, it's uncomfortable, it's raw, but it's real. That's where growth happens. That's where confidence is born. When you learn to stand in that silence and not crumble, you become dangerous. Because now, you're no longer desperate for connection. You're intentional with it. You're not begging for someone to stay. You're choosing who deserves your energy. That's power. Dependency tricks you into believing you can't function without someone else. It tells you that your worth is tied to how much you're loved, noticed, or needed, but that's a lie. People aren't oxygen, they're not water, they're not essentials, they're additions, and the moment you treat them like your lifeline, you give away your control. You stop making decisions based on your path and start making them based on fear of loss. That's not love, that's imprisonment. The truth is, not every day will be full of company. Not every night will be lit up with conversation. There will be times when it's just you, your thoughts, your habits, your reflection, and that moment can either crush you or create you. If you've built your identity around others, solitude will shatter you. But if you've built it from discipline, purpose, and truth, solitude will sharpen you. Being alone teaches you how to rely on the one person you can always count on, yourself. You learn how to fix your own mindset, how to lift your own spirits, how to create your own peace. And when you master that, you become unshakable. Relationships stop being crutches, they become choices. You're not looking for someone to complete you. you're looking for someone who complements you. Big difference. Dependency is subtle. It feels like comfort. It sounds like I can't live without you. But that's not romance, it's weakness. Real strength is being able to walk alone, with discipline in your mind and purpose in your heart. It's not about rejecting people, it's about rejecting the idea that you're nothing without them. Loneliness isn't the enemy, it's the test. Dependency is the threat hiding behind a smile, a hug, or a promise. Cut it off, face the silence, and build yourself so solid that no one else ever gets to define your value again. When you're alone, you're not distracted by noise, by influence, by the need to impress or appease. You're left with the raw, unfiltered version of yourself, the truth. That's when the real work begins. That's when you start building standards. Not the ones borrowed from society or inherited from relationships, but the kind forged in solitude, through discipline, self-awareness, and relentless honesty. Alone is where you realize what you've been tolerating. Alone is where you recognize the gaps, the weaknesses, the patterns you've been repeating, and it's in that space, away from the influence of others, that you draw the line and say no more. Standards aren't built in comfort. They're built in reflection. When you're not constantly trying to keep up with others, you finally see where you're falling short. Not because someone told you, but because you finally looked in the mirror and saw it for yourself. That's accountability, that's growth. In isolation, you're forced to confront your excuses, your laziness, your softness, and if you've got the guts to be real with yourself, you begin to raise the bar, not just for what you expect from others, but for what you demand from yourself. Most people think standards are rules for others. They're not. They're boundaries for yourself first. Alone, you learn what you will and won't accept. You start taking care of your body, your time, your energy. You stop letting distractions steal your focus. You stop entertaining nonsense just to feel busy. You get intentional. You get serious. You learn to say no without guilt and yes without hesitation, because you know exactly what you stand for. That clarity only comes when you're willing to be alone. It doesn't show up in the crowd. It doesn't arrive when you're constantly surrounded by noise and attention. It emerges when the world is silent, when there's no one clapping, when there's no external motivation, only internal fire. And if you can build standards in that quiet place, they become unshakable. No one can manipulate you, guilt you, or pressure you into compromise, because you've already been tested by the hardest person to face, yourself. People settle when they don't spend enough time alone. They jump into relationships out of loneliness, not alignment. They chase approval instead of purpose. But when you've built your standards alone, you stop settling. You stop chasing, you stop explaining. You don't need a crowd to feel worthy. You've already earned your own respect. That's the shift, that's the power. You don't lower your standards to be accepted. You raise your standards and let the world adjust. And if it doesn't, you're fine, because you know who you are and you built that alone. Relationships don't complete you, they reflect you. That's the truth most people avoid. They search for someone to fill the gaps in their self-worth, to heal the wounds they've ignored, to bring the happiness they refuse to build on their own. But no relationship, no matter how loving or passionate, can complete a person who hasn't done the work alone. What it will do is mirror your mindset, your standards, your insecurities, your habits. It will show you, not save you. When you enter a relationship without knowing who you are, you start molding yourself into what you think the other person wants. You become reactive instead of grounded. You measure your value through someone else's attention, approval, and affection. That's not love, it's dependency. And dependency always leads to compromise. Not the kind that builds connection, but the kind that erodes identity. But when you know yourself, when you've spent the time alone to understand your boundaries, your mission, your non-negotiables, then a relationship becomes a reflection, not a rescue. It mirrors your strength, not your lack. You're not looking to be saved, you're not looking to be fixed, you're looking to be matched, and that's the difference between desperation and discipline. The truth is, your partner will always hold a mirror to your character. If you're insecure, their actions will trigger your doubts. If you're confident, their presence will amplify your stability. If you settle for less within yourself, you will settle for less in love. But when you hold yourself to a high standard, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you attract, allow, and demand that same energy in return. This is why building yourself first is non-negotiable. You have to become someone you respect before you expect someone else to respect you. You have to treat yourself with loyalty before you look for loyalty in others. Otherwise, you'll keep searching for completion in people who are just as lost as you are. And two incomplete people don't make a whole, they make chaos. You don't need someone to complete you. That idea is a trap. You need someone who reflects your evolution, your integrity, your mindset. Someone who sharpens you, not someone who shelters your weaknesses. But you only find that when you stop chasing connection and start building character. Because the love you attract will only ever rise to the level of the love you have for yourself. Every relationship you enter will tell you something about you, where you are, what you tolerate, what you still need to fix. Pay attention. Don't just blame them. Don't just point the finger. Ask yourself what it reveals about your internal world. What you accept externally reflects what you believe internally. So don't look for someone to complete you. Look in the mirror, do the work. Build the version of yourself you can be proud of. Then and only then will your relationships stop becoming a search party and start becoming a reflection of your power. There comes a point where you stop chasing people and start protecting your peace. You realize not every conversation deserves a response. Not every insult needs defense, and not every person belongs in your life. That's when you start choosing peace over people. It's not bitterness. It's not arrogance, it's clarity, because after enough noise, enough betrayal, enough draining interactions, you learn peace is the real power, and no person, no matter how close, should be allowed to disturb that. You don't owe anyone your energy, that's the hard truth. You can love someone and still walk away. You can care and still protect yourself, because peace isn't passive, it's built, it's maintained, it's guarded like treasure. And if you're constantly giving it away to chaos disguised as connection, you'll never find rest. Some people thrive on drama, some people leave to provoke, and if you're not careful, they'll pull you into their storm and call it loyalty. But your job is not to manage their emotions. Your job is to manage your energy. Choosing peace means setting boundaries so firm they offend those who benefit from your lack of them. It means walking away from familiar faces because they've become poison. It means declining invitations, ignoring calls, and deleting messages, not out of hate, but out of love for your sanity. It's a mindset shift. You start valuing silence over small talk, solitude over stress, stillness over stimulation. That's when you evolve. You realize that the people who truly value you won't make you choose between their presence and your peace. They'll respect your space, your growth, your time. They won't demand constant access. They won't guilt you into staying in a space that's shrinking your soul. Real ones get it. The rest never did. You also stop trying to fix everyone. You stop carrying people who won't even stand for themselves. You stop offering advice to ears that only want attention. Because peace isn't just about what you allow, it's about what you no longer entertain. You no longer explain your growth, you just grow. You no longer beg to be understood. You speak your truth and move on. That's the kind of peace no one can steal. Because it's not based on them, it's based on your decision. The world is loud, the demands are endless, people will always want more of you. But you've got to want your peace more, because once you've tasted what it's like to be unbothered, to wake up without anxiety, to breathe without weight, you'll never trade it for validation again. You'll stop proving. You'll stop performing, and you'll start living. So don't feel guilty for outgrowing people. Don't feel wrong for choosing quiet. Your peace isn't up for negotiation. Not anymore. Not after what it cost you to find it. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. That's none of your business now. Your business is your peace. And that's more valuable than any relationship you had to leave behind to keep it. Be so whole that love becomes a choice, not a need. That means becoming the kind of person who doesn't chase love, but attracts it through strength, purpose, and clarity. It means building such a solid foundation within yourself that love is no longer your escape, it's your addition. Too many people enter relationships hoping to be saved. They hope someone will heal what they refuse to face, complete what they've left broken, and fill the voids they've ignored for years. But real love can't grow in neediness. It only thrives in strength. When you are whole, you stop needing love to fix you. You stop using it as a distraction. You stop giving your heart to anyone who offers momentary comfort. You start becoming more selective, not because you're guarded, but because you're grounded. You don't settle for attention when you've built self-respect. You don't trade peace for presence. You don't confuse intensity for intimacy. You know what you bring to the table, and you know you can eat alone. Wholeness isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about being brutally honest with yourself about your habits, your patterns, your fears, and doing the inner work to grow through them. It's about becoming emotionally self-sufficient so you're not addicted to external validation. You don't need constant reminders that you matter. You've already looked in the mirror and decided that you do. That kind of power makes you unshakable. When you reach that level of self-mastery, love becomes something you choose, not something you chase. You're not desperate to be loved. You're willing to love, but never at the cost of your dignity or your peace. You don't give your heart to just anyone because you're not looking to be filled. You're looking to be aligned. And alignment only happens when both people have done the work on their own. Too many relationships fail not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of wholeness. Two incomplete people trying to build something stable is a setup for collapse. They become mirrors for each other's wounds, and without healing, those wounds turn into weapons. But when you are whole, love becomes empowering, not consuming. It elevates, not rescues. It enhances, not replaces. Becoming whole means learning to enjoy your own company. It means creating your own joy, building your own dreams, facing your own shadows, and celebrating your own victories. It means building a life that you're proud of, with or without anyone beside you. And from that place of strength, you can give love without losing yourself. When love becomes a choice, not a need, you finally see it clearly. You stop romanticizing toxicity. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You love with depth, not dependency, and that's the kind of love that lasts. Not because you need it, but because you want it. Not because it completes you, but because it reflects the strength you already built alone.